Welcome to another episode of BDC RAW. I'm your host, Josh Mitchell, and I have an amazing special guest today. We're going international. I've had some Canadians on here, but we're going international on this one. It's been a while since I've done an interview style, so I may suck at this, but I'm going to attempt it anyways. And so I have Artur, and I'm not even going to attempt to say his last name because he already tried to tell me how to say it. And I was like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to butcher it. So, Artur, tell everybody who you are.
Hi, Josh. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Artur. I come from Warsaw, which is the capital city in Poland, in Europe, in the heart of the old continent, as they call it here. What can I tell more? It's awesome to be here, man. I've been following you since I discovered the LinkedIn and people in the States and Canada, as you mentioned, being so passionate about the whole automotive industry, especially about the BDC, which is something I'm into as well.
Yeah, it's funny because
thank you,
man. It's a pleasure having you on here, and I love when when you do a podcast, you never know if you're going to reach anybody. And really, it's if I reach one person, I don't care. That's great. I reached one person, but it's amazing that someone in Poland, which I can see the analytics on there, but it's always funny when I get to meet some of the people that have listened to it, and I'm honored that obviously that you listen to it.
Yeah, man, you're my guy whenever I drive to work or back home. It's something really I wanted to do for a long time. So actually, you use the same app for booking appointments as I do. So
yeah, it's funny. Our industry and our world is very small. There's a lot of people in our industry, and it's interesting when we talk about the States versus, I have a dealership that I work with in Canada and some of the different rules that they have to deal with. And obviously with COVID, the world, it's not just the United States, the world has kind of come to a halt. How's it been going with you guys during this whole, 2020 was a mess.
It sure was, and not only in terms of the COVID, but it's been I think it's been a global disaster everywhere in terms of politics and things going on with.
I don't know. I think Americans we got you beat on the politics.
Yeah, I think so. But we came really close, man. I think because you've done some pretty erotic movement, and we did it as well. So it's never good to be mentioned from my point of view. I don't like to be in either both horizons of anything. So if they started to mention Poland on CNN and all this news, I don't know, man. So it wasn't. It didn't go well.
So for the people, obviously, that don't know who Artur is, kind of give us a little background of who you are, what you do now, and so we can kind of get to know you because my listeners may not know. Yeah, I didn't know who you were at first.
I bet they don't know.
And now we have a friend in the automotive space again. So just tell me a little bit about yourself and some of the people that are listening.
Sure. So my story, I think it's the most common story in the automotive business. I didn't plan to do it. I didn't go to college thinking, I'm gonna do 5 years in the automotive business and then graduate from some, I don't know, Alfa Romeo school. So I was keen on working in airlines, actually, because my parents they spent whole their lives as airlines representatives, and my father was opening some places all around the world as a sales director. So, and as a natural cause, it was close for me to start to try to work in this environment, which is a fascinating environment, the airport and everything that touches ground and then goes up. It's a totally different world, and but it didn't really work out for me, and I was given a chance to definitely take a step back and started the journey in Mercedes-Benz actually. So I hit it hard from the start, right? And so if you work for someone, I was always trying to work for the best on the market or best available at the time, and I was given a chance to prove myself a bit as a sales assistant, so to speak, or as a host of a place, which was kind of an exotic marketing adventure at first, on the first sight of it, but it was a really it was a start of a revolution in Mercedes-Benz as a leading motor company all across the globe. I think they had a problem with product and with people that were buying their products. I mean, the car was when you thought Mercedes-Benz, you thought I need to be a bit older to drive it, right? They didn't have any,
kind of like Cadillac in the States.
yeah,
Cadillac, Lincoln, and Buick.
Wear a tie or definitely a brand new Rolex and be a soft gentleman. I know they had sport engines and etc., but they didn't have a solution for young people to buy, to follow, or even to start to identify with the company, with the brand. And they created a place that was a total opposite of what was a Mercedes-Benz car or showroom.
Yeah, because when you sent me that article, I was intrigued because I've talked about this, where the automotive space has to change, and how we conduct business and the experience that we provide for our consumers. When I saw this, and how many years was that back?
That was 2012, so
2012. So
9
it's crazy that an innovative idea like that, and we're going to get to that idea here very shortly, and I'll share some links. You'll have to probably find it and convert it over to English, but 2012, and it's crazy because it's an idea that no one would even come close to. And it's, Mercedes, this is something I think like a Buick, because Buick has had a huge issue with their branding. Mazda is trying to rebrand themselves as more of a luxury brand, yet they spent years and years and years on Zoom Zoom. And yet in 2012, we have a Mercedes, which is when you're in the States, you think about Mercedes, you think high end, expensive,
right?
It overall just a luxury car. And I think of G wagons, I think of S500s, like I think of the bad boys of Mercedes. And you don't think about, when you're looking at millennials, and I know that's like the dirty word that everybody continues to say, but I just want to throw this out to all the people out there that, fucker, I am a millennial, and I'm 38, getting ready to be 39. And so I'm still not old, but now, I would be venturing in to buying, and, people in their mid 30s would be venturing in and buying Mercedes-Benz. But it's not a brand that most people think that they would be trying to walk into.
That was problematic, because if you sell a couple of hundred cars per dealership, I mean the low hundreds, right? 100, 200, you don't really care, right? You will sell whatever you have and go home.
Yep.
But when you want to grow and when you start to sell the higher hundreds and closer to thousands, and you request more, and people request more, and people are on the internet instantly, you don't do it in a normal way. They were quick to react, but it's been a couple of years since that, and no one really got even close. I think on my market and here there was something else, because it was like old school brand does something like, hey, right now I'm gonna wear a skirt, and I'm gonna be totally different. I'm gonna paint my car, and I'm gonna have a showroom inside a park, which
Yeah.
one.
So everybody, this is a showroom that looks like no other showroom in the planet. And Mercedes has been known, at least in the States, like they build a Taj Mahal when it comes to the dealerships. I mean, they're beautiful dealerships. We're talking about a dealership that is in a park that it looks nothing like a car dealership.
Yeah, because it was half pop-up store, something like that, a place that you could come, work, drink a cold brew, drink a beer by night, watch a football game. We had, of course, we had a cafeteria, restaurant inside. You had concerts, music. Every evening, we worked for 3 to 4 months during summer. So we had a lot of people there, starting from 8 a.m. up until late in the night hours, and we really grew into the local area. The people living there, they didn't, because normally when you build something like that with music, with people, with cars, people call the police and say, "Hey, noisy neighbors, I want to put a complaint," right?
Yeah.
There were people coming in from the neighbors and the neighborhoods around and say, "Hey, this is the first place that we adore," because it wasn't a jam club or anything like that. It was a wooden construction in the middle of the park, eco-friendly cups, eco-friendly spoons. We really gave it back to the community, and it was breathtaking. And from the sales point of view, we could cover all the millennials, all the people at our age that they didn't have really either time to go to the showroom, or they didn't want to go to the showroom to talk with the sales reps that are a bit older, or they use the techniques that don't work, that don't work anymore, right? Or because we both know, we all know here that that every sales rep is coached in a way, in a manner, and if they went to the onboarding training or the first training 12 years ago, or even 2 years is long enough to forget anything, right?
What's onboarding? That's more the question. What's onboarding? But yeah, I mean, it's
close to some other boarding, which is banned across.
It's crazy because when you think about a concept, and the concept sounds insane, like in reality. I mean, that's, you have a dealership in the middle of a park where there's music and you can grab a beer. Like, I'm in.
You can talk with a sales rep or with a greeter, because I started as a greeter, right?
Yeah.
I was like the middleman, the proxy. The sales reps were doing their CRM stuff, or whatever they were doing back in the 2012 with their free time, and I was the guy that said, "Hey, hello, this is the Mercedes-Benz showroom. Yeah, it is something else. These are the cars, the new A-Class, the new CLA, this is Mercedes, huh? I always thought Mercedes was an elegant limousine, and now it looks differently." And I said, "Yeah, of course. What is your name, your surname, your mobile phone, and your email address? Because I want to sell you this car a few years from now."
Yeah.
And my journey started this way. In a couple of weeks, I was doing sales. I was asked for a permanent job, and the job title was a bit different as well, because it was a mobile sales rep, and we didn't have the customer flow coming into the showroom because we didn't have any showroom. Remember, it was only for 3 months. Then the construction was put into the garage for the next summer to arrive, right? So the next 9 months, I was looking, I was hunting, I was driving a smart car with casual red pants, and waving my iPad around, doing a show, doing a performance, right? If you thought, "Hey, I want to buy a Mercedes-Benz," you had my image right across every single billboard or, I don't know, Facebook ad or whatever. You ended up with a mobile sales rep.
That's awesome.
We could take a car, go into your working space, go up to your house, put your future Mercedes-Benz car into your garage, try if it does it fit. Does your wife likes the interior? Let's do it in one meeting. Just, it was a convenient way of selling cars. It was back then, so I imagine right now it's even more convenient, especially in the health time we have right now. So it was at that time it was a totally innovative thing. Right now, I think it should be more common, but it was a really expensive project as well. We need to say that, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
OEM, so it was a bit lighter for the dealer I worked for, because I was working for like the OEM dealer. It's called the Niederlassung in German. So
yeah. So it's, I mean, but it's one of those.
I've done like 1,200 test drives. I bet in 4 years. We had a team of 3 mobile salespeople and few assistants, which we then in a year time exchanged for better ones, improved them. Some of people that we hired back in the day, they're working right now for the dealers, and they are either selling cars, they are fleet assistants, the car fleet managers are. It was something really special in everyone's life. I bet. I'm pretty sure of it.
Well, I can tell you, when I started in the car business, it wasn't that. It was the old school style. It wasn't. I didn't get to do the fancy one. But it's crazy because when you're talking about this, like, that was 2012, and they were doing business like that, and yet during a global pandemic. We talked about digital retailing for a long, long time in the automotive space. It took a pandemic to force it down everybody's throats to go, no, this is the way we're doing business. I run a BDC and internet sales department for Capital Chevrolet in Austin, Texas. And the way we do business today, which is, when typical BDC environment, it's all about getting the appointment. It's all about that type of environment. But when we had the shift from just get them in to let's work a car deal, BDC managers, in my opinion, were not ready at all, because most BDC managers are, I don't know how to say this. I mean, they're not desk managers. And I think that's one of the biggest issues that you would have seen during the pandemic, is that the speed of business went crazy, and a lot of people were left with their pants down, didn't know what to do. But yeah, so I mean, we do business like that now, and we do from home delivery to at home test drives. And I'm in Texas, man. Texas is open to a certain degree. Like we still have to wear masks, but for the most part, like, business is going. We sold over 600 and some cars last month. We're number 1 in Texas and number 2 in the U.S. in Chevy sales.
Well done, man.
So yeah, it was an amazing accomplishment for the team and everybody. But but we're still doing it that way. We're still doing some traditional, some at home, some doing some mix match of everything. But when you look at the whole customer experience inside of a business development center, what do you think is probably going to be the next step, or how we're going to function as we go forward to 21, 22, 23 in the future? Do you see any evolution of how we do business changing?
Yeah, and I hope it will speed up a bit, because I think even though we work in totally in different markets, I think we share same values and same problems and obstacles are ahead of us. So I'm a big believer in working togetherness and creating a place that actually loses the boundaries of I'm running sales, I'm running service. No, you're both running a dealership.
I love that one, because I think that's the biggest thing that we have is siloing. Like,
yeah,
we have the internet sales department, we have the BDC, we have the sales department, we have new, we have used, we have service, we have service BDC, and then we have parts. And then it's all the silos that eventually run into, well, sales doesn't work with service because service doesn't get shit done. Service isn't like sales because sales over promises, and it becomes a huge monster that you have to deal with. And yeah, you're right. It's one team.
Yeah,
that's it. Like, if you work for a dealership, it's one team. If
it's
sales sucks,
I want to change, and the last thing I ever changed, because it's sometimes it's nearly impossible to change because of the old habits, or I don't know.
Yeah, because if sales sucks, service suffers. If service sucks, sales will suffer. It goes hand in hand.
Yeah, of course. Calling your customers before they will be, the OEM will call and do the survey, right? It's like doing customer survey, not satisfaction, but hey, remember, we need to be the best, so give us a 10. But I'm not satisfied. We don't care. But okay, say what you have to say, but then remember the next one, give us 10. It doesn't really change anything, right? So I strongly believe that it will change, because it will require both bays, the sales bay and the service bay, to be really sharp in the next years, to regain or start gaining trust of your new digitally attractive customer. Because from what I read and from what I feel, you always had one first impression, right? Because it's a saying, but it's true, right? I think in terms of phones, you have more power to regain this first impression if you fail it. Over the internet, it's undoable, because you will always leave your trace, right? And this is the first trace you have left. There's nothing you can change about it. If you post something stupid on Facebook, it will follow you for years and years.
Yep.
So they need to change the attitude, because it's all in the head. I think the target is common, so I would focus on that. And in terms of the BDC itself, I think we need to deliver what the customer expects. I expect my Amazon to be here in 24 hours, and if I don't like it, I want to return it, and I want my money back pretty quick, right? So in terms of cars or offering cars, I was selling cars for 7 years, new cars, used cars, online. I was actually selling in the BDC, right? I was a sales rep, sitting every Monday in the BDC, waving, hey, I'm ready. Hey, connect him. Yeah, give me a lead. I'm speaking right now. I'm prospecting. I don't know. And if you ever were responsible for selling one unit, you know that the offer you make, it takes you 1 minute, right? It really does not take any more. Especially if you sell stock cars, right? You do it once, and you just have this on your PC, in your CRM. It doesn't really take hours and hours and hours. And me as a customer, whenever I see something I'm interested in, and I need an offer because it's somehow still not on the internet, the 10 minutes, I think it's a goal that everyone should aim. 10 minutes, more than enough if you're on site, right? If you're sitting there, the lead comes in, 10 minutes, and for the BDC, I mean, it's not a big deal. So right now I'm building a BDC that deals up until the customer is ready to come. We do the offer. We send insurance. We send financial and insurance in total as a pack. We could sell parts live on the BDC via the phone. we take care about for 80%, 75-80% of calls by ourselves in the BDC. I mean, the BDC reps, they do it. And I think it's a 15 to 20% receptions at the dealers itself. They help because they work a bit longer, and the BDC closes a bit earlier. So
Yeah.
to make more, I want them to have the ability and the mind that the next year we will do videos, and it won't be any big kind of deal, right? Because the customer will expect it. And to be honest, if you do it once, you can save it, and the car will be exactly the same. Especially if it's a new car. In used cars, it's of course it's totally different, right? Because you need to be more precise in the presentation, right? But it's doable. It's doable because people that I look for in the BDCs, I co-create, co-manage, or whatever I'm asked to do, because as you know, each dealer thinks differently, and the expectations are different. So, but the way I do it, I let them grow organically. I'm waiting for the guy that rises above any other, and I give him this video project for so
and I
to
think
speak.
it's, I think with a lot of times when you're leading a BDC, I think like what you said is kind of very similar to my style of leadership, is I let things happen organically. Now I'm going to plant, and I'm going to plant little seeds, and I'm going to grow you, but I want it to happen organically. And I think a lot of times we don't invest into our teams, and we wonder why we are running stagnant. And I think a lot of times it just comes down to little by little, you have to plant the seeds and get them going and have them grow a little bit. You're not going to have you're not going to
Stay
have a
longer in their
rep.
head.
Yeah, you're not going to have a BDC rep that goes from being early on to their career to the number one and withstand it. Over time, you have to grow them to where you need them to go, because ultimately we want them to have lifelong careers in the automotive space. We don't want them to leave. We want them to grow and go into other avenues and take what it's not new, but it's still a new age of doing business. Take that up the chain to eventually these people becoming the upper management of dealerships.
Yeah, if they feel comfortable with doing it, yeah, because not everyone will be a good manager. Not everyone will have the required head to be a head, right? Because I deal with lately, I found out that even if you work as a manager or as a team leader or whatever, a bit higher, not everyone likes it, and some people they take a step back and stay that way, but me also, I'm learning each and every day. It's a new role for me. I'm doing it close to 2 years on my own in the Motomat Group, our company, and we created it with my boss at that time. So we know each other for years from work. We enjoyed working together, so it was an easy decision. And we have a crew that we work in a totally different way than other companies on our market. I don't know what's the latest trend in yours, but we offer a solution with a dedicated project manager. We're not a consulting company that we go to the dealers, blah blah blah, coffee and cigarettes, and then 2 days of workshopping, training. We don't care, and off we go. I'm there up until we recruit a BDC manager and complete this stage. Up until the moment he feels he's ready to take off on his own, we are there with him to fully support the transition from call center to BDC, from nothing to the BDC, and we work with the PBX we use, because on the starting level we need to have a clear information of how many people are calling you and why and what.
Most dealerships don't know that.
Yeah, this is amazing. This is amazing.
But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, and I think this is where a lot of different dealerships fail, at least in the States, and I'm sure it's all over. It's international failure here. Is they want a BDC, or they think they want a BDC. They went to a NADA or a conference. I know we didn't have any conferences in 2020, really, but they went to a conference. We're going to have them again, I believe me. Now, but they went to a conference, or they went to their 20 group, and all they talked about was BDC, 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 and they plop one in, and they get an inexperienced manager and inexperienced reps, and it flops. And they're like, well, what happened? Well, we had a BDC and it didn't work.
Yeah, it didn't work. Yeah, I know.
And the reasons why is because they bring people in that aren't ready and they throw them into the fire. Like, the car business is not an easy business by any stretch of the imagination, and it's literally not that hard. But
yeah, it's attractive because you see cars everywhere, and it's not something you're like totally, oh, space shuttle. This is gonna be hard to sell. And yet some dude that had a banking solution flies into space, no problem. So cars, man, I was selling concrete. Nothing fancy about it.
Concrete are there?
Sorry?
Just concrete? Or is there different mixtures?
Concrete. Yeah, on the foreign market. So I needed to know the specifics of a Nordic and Norwegian market and the Polish distribution, and they wanted concrete. So
see? But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where the businesses ultimately, obviously, we're changing. We're heading into a different era of the car industry, and with electric cars, cleaner diesel vehicles.
The electric, this is something service base will not appreciate, man.
Correct. And so you have to figure out how we're going to maneuver this. I mean, the industry's changing, the automotive space and how we make vehicles is changing, and how we operate has to change. The speed in which we operate, which I've talked about this since probably 2011, but the speed in which we operate is only going to have to get faster.
Oh yeah.
Like,
I tell my people that we have 30 minutes to take the lead, and within 10 minutes the ratio drops drastically. It's like 30% your success ratio after 10 minutes. So it's 60% down to drain, or more. So if they fail to contact the lead in first 10, then I know it's a lost opportunity, right? This is why we focus on data and on knowing who we are going to deal with on Monday, on Tuesday, on Wednesday, and a month to come. So I know how to set up my people to always be there on Monday morning, right? Etc., etc. And then we measure their own performance, as you all do. Everyone needs to do it in the BDC. But then at the end of the day, you need management support to really understand why it takes time, because it will take time.
Yeah, you didn't have it overnight. You ain't gonna fix it overnight. It ain't gonna happen overnight. I mean, that's the biggest thing that I've always told people. I didn't get you here, and sure as hell ain't gonna get you out quick enough. But we're gonna get you out. Like, it's not, on a traditional BDC who's been there, internet sales department that's been there, with the right person who knows what they're doing, you can flip the switch and go from 5 to 12.5% in 35 days, 40 days. But to go from nothing to something, it's going to take some time. And it's going to be painful sometimes.
Yeah, especially because then you quickly discover who really does what.
Mm-hmm.
And it's painful, for especially painful for private dealers, that at the end of the day there's one guy or couple of them that it's theirs, right? So it's like with in the restaurant business, when you have a good floor manager that really feels you and feels his position in being a proxy between the customer and the owner, you have a comfort situation. But if your floor manager at your bar, your restaurant sucks, it's painful, because it's like a little, it's like, maybe I don't like comparing to children, but it's like a baby restaurant, because it's yours so much, you feel so passionate about it. And I'm pretty sure car dealer owners are the same way. So I suffer with them sometimes, uh, most of the times, because I'm sometimes I point really things out, like, hey, it's we don't do that way. You cannot think this way. She's afraid to be sick. This kind of things,
Yep.
which I'm pretty sure it's a common issue everywhere. So I'm like Gordon Ramsay sometimes. To hey, bad, clean, fire,
Yeah.
fire, fire. But it's and I love it, and I love making people open their heads and try something different, because
Yeah.
this is the most exciting thing to do, I think, in the BDC. Try something different. What do you have to lose? I mean, you don't. And by saying trying something different, I'm not expecting them to swear on the phone, right? So I know they will try something good, and what's there to lose? I
Yeah.
mean, outside of the box for once, and let's see. Maybe it will work, and I'm pretty sure it will, because people like to be surprised in a positive way, and they will remember. I quit sales nearly 2 years ago. I think yesterday or 2 days ago, I sold two cars because still my clients remember me, not the showroom I worked for. It was my attitude. It was my drive to make them buy what they want to buy. I wasn't the most appreciated sales guy around, because I always put the customer need before my paycheck or the dealer paycheck, because I thought, and I'm sticking to it most of the times. Uh, Loyalty gives you retention, gives you families that buys cars, and they will do it constantly where you are, not the roof you're under. They will follow you, and I think it's a good feeling to have, rather than you sold 10, you sold 11, blah blah blah. Be
Which is
more be closer to people, and the results will follow. I'm pretty sure. I know that. I do this.
exactly.
The results always follow when you focus on right things. If you focus on your team, if you focus on coaching them, if you focus on being with them, not on the
Mm.
level that you don't really speak, you just order, it's not gonna fly.
See, I love when someone speaks my language on that one. That's because it's amazing because yeah, as leaders, I don't feel like I have a team that works for me. I work for them. Period. End of story. I work for my team. They do not work for me. Now, is there some accountability that I throw their way and I hold them accountable for the things that they say and the things that they do? Sure. But the reality is when they need something and everything, my job is to make sure I work as hard as hell for them to make sure they earn a paycheck, to make sure they get the things that they want in life. That's my job. Because if I do that, I'm going to get everything I want.
Yeah,
And so I have
and we
to
come
make sure I do
back
that.
to the thing we started with. Like, I really want service guys and sales guys to cooperate together, because the goal is it's. I asked this question in the service departments all the time. Hey, do you send a list of tomorrow's appointments to your used car department to talk it through? Hey, what's the strategy on this one, and what's the strategy on that one? Nobody really does it, and it's like playing table tennis, right? But because he doesn't ask, no, because I don't have time, no, because he was this and he was that. It was like brother and sister all the time. But it's going to change, and I think we're doing a good job here to give a bit of a direction. Hey, start to work closer together, and you will sell more, and you will fix more, and you will finance more, and you will do everything more.
Bingo. So I want to thank you so much, Arthur. This has been a pleasure, and I hope that we continue to have conversations. I hope that we continue after the pandemic is over, and we can actually meet. I hope to God that happens. But thank you so much for being on the show today and spending some time with me and talking about this stuff. And for those who, if anyone wants to reach out to Arthur, how do they reach out to Arthur?
LinkedIn, Facebook. You will find me if you want to, because you just type Artur and I'm there. I promise. And awesome. I'm not going anywhere. So yeah, join me on LinkedIn, and I love talking to people that are passionate about the BDC, and they know the drill. So I'm going to be here for you always.
Awesome. Appreciate you, Arthur. And thank you guys so much for listening, and have a great day.
Thank you, Josh.